I've still got my health today. I'm feeling quite well. Thank you for listening as we talk about the health of business. That was Bette Midler. And the business of health. It's interchangeable in a way. Our next guest is a chiropractor and a performance coach and a few other bits and pieces. We're just talking off air. I think he needs one title for his personal brand, but we're going to talk about that with him today. He's quite a fascinating person. His name is Ben Carvosso. Welcome. You're taking care of business virgin.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm excited about being
there. Yeah. Are you involved with the expo?
I am. I kind of I've had a history with Joe in helping her promote the expo, etc. And Peninsula Chiropractic United, who's one of the organisations I belong to, is going to be an exhibitor at the expo. Right.
Now let's just clarify. What is it you do? So you're a chiropractor. Tick.
Yes. So I have a trade as a chiropractor. I would probably call myself an entrepreneur. Because I started off as a chiropractor 25 or 7 years ago, and then about 10 years into that, built my own radiology company, owned it, didn't work in it, but owned the company. And then in more recent years, I've become a performance coach. So I've taken the skills of being a practitioner, added the skills of being an entrepreneur, running a business, and now I coach business owners or entrepreneurs about the mindset of business.
So you use the sort of the psychology side of business.
Yeah, I talk about it's not what you need to do in business, whether it be adjusting a spine as a chiropractor or giving a herbal supplement or taking an x-ray. It's who you need to be as a practitioner or a business owner, the mindset you need to bring to it.
Is that not taught at university when you're doing your chiropractic degree?
Zero.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it's odd, isn't it? It always gets me a bit cross because you're dealing with people. You're not dealing with machines, you're not fixing machines, you're fixing bodies and people. And the mind's a key part of that, and they don't touch on that.
No. We've all been to practitioners. I think that, we see that they're obviously intelligent and they're professional and they have incredible skill, but their bedside manner sucks.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to purchasing, and Darren would know, we buy often the person, not the product. We buy the person that's selling us the product. And so when people have a health experience, it's often the practitioner that's the most important bit, not necessarily the product that he may be eventually selling, whether it be a drug or an adjustment.
Well, like anything, Darren, you've got to believe in it.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things for me in the whole wellness and health area is how little they overtly market and position brands. It's come from the old medical days of, they didn't want to go out touting themselves. And so all these allied professions are actually almost hesitant to really embrace the opportunities of marketing, brand strategy to build it. They still rely on referrals and word of mouth and the sort of more traditional without even managing that.
I find that a lot actually, because as holistic health practitioners, people feel that there's a real conflict of interest between wanting to help somebody and needing to market yourself, because there's that whole, not wanting to be salesy. So what we try and do is encourage them to build a strong brand and know what your values are and communicate that through your brand and become the expert, and then people will attract to your brand.
That's why one of the opportunities now is with inbound content marketing, because this is an area where your audience is hungry for information. And so to be able to provide content that is informative, it is factual, it's helpful, is a way of building your own thought leadership and credibility within your category. And then to use social media to actually engage with your audience. It always surprises me when people talk about marketing and selling at the same time, because the two are different professions, part of the same ultimate goal, which is to build businesses and build profitability. But selling in the old-fashioned format is not what marketing's about.
No, absolutely, and they do get confused.
So Ben, when you're doing your mindset or performance coaching, are you mainly dealing with health practitioners?
I have health practitioners as my clients, but entrepreneurs, so it's a whole range from real estate agents to financial advisors to health practitioners to seminar conference organisers.
To Joe, is Joe a client?
I
can see Joe nodding her head looking,
I did about 12 months with Ben, I think it was. Which would have been maybe 12 months ago, but it was huge in building my confidence as a business owner and entrepreneur, and looking at there's so many decisions that you need to make on a day-to-day basis, and if you're struggling with those, it has such a big impact on your family life and your business life, and they're also interlinked. So, yeah.
I love a mate told me years ago that you're always happy in business if you're making money. The purpose of being in business is to make money. And when you're in business, whether we like it or not, you're there to sell.
Actually, Darren disagrees with you.
I strongly disagree with that. In fact, the best quote I ever heard is that we don't live to breathe, but we have to breathe to live. And in business, we don't go into business to make a profit, but we have to make a profit to be in business. So I don't think the purpose of business is to just make a profit. It would be like saying my only purpose in life is to breathe. And so I think it's important from a brand point of view that every business have a purpose beyond making a profit, because that's the reason people are attracted to us. No one is attracted to someone who's just there to make money. That's where you get the attitude of I'm having to sell to my clients rather than actually enrich their experience of life or their experience of your business.
I agree with you completely.
Okay.
Oh, that's too easy. Come on.
And,
Come on.
And I've not met anyone in business that is happy when they're not making money.
Because you're dying, you're basically
Correct.
holding your breath.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the reason that you're in business.
No, it shouldn't be the only reason, but it should be one of the reasons.
It's a driver.
And I think when it comes to
But not
selling,
really.
and I love this term that the real estate industry has is a buyer's advocate. That instead of seeing yourself as a seller, see yourself as a buyer's advocate. Recognise what your buyer wants and be an advocate for the buyer. See if you're a match to the buyer, and if you are, one of the things I coach my clients is you have a duty to have them then buy your product. If you're a match, it's a must that they buy your product. The other side of it though is if you're not a match, if you recognise that you're not, you also have a duty to say, hey, we're not a match.
I'm going to take that argument between Darren and Ben a little bit further, and I'm going to weigh in on it, whether making money in business is the reason. I think take it a step back, and I think the key is to ask that if you are running your own business or you are working in business, to ask the person why they are in business, what is driving them, what motivates them. I think it's too much to generalise that everyone is in business to make money, because some people are in business for different reasons, and how much money you make can dictate that. So if someone's main reason is I'm in business because I want to make a lot of money, I want to make $3 million within 2 years. That's their objective, that's their aim. Fine. So that's going to then dictate how they go about doing that. Other people might say, you know what, I just want to make $100,000 a year because that covers my living cost, or $50,000 a year, or I'm happy to break even because I'm in business for these other reasons. And I think going back a step further and asking them what's driving them and why they are in business is the key.
I think that was the point I was trying to make before with holistic health practitioners having that conflict of interest, because they don't feel like they want to profit off people's illness. They want to help them get better and be well. So, but at the same time, you've got to make a living and you've got to survive. So there's that, how do I do that without disrupting my integrity, I suppose, and maintaining my values. So as Darren said, it's about building your brand and communicating through content and putting helpful information out there so that the people that who need your information will find you and become your client or get on board.
It's a real balance between what you're comfortable with yourself from an integrity perspective, and also what purpose you're serving. So if you're, as a coach, I suppose, inspiring people, helping people, then that has incredible rewards for you, which are non-financial. But then there's also that balance of what you're comfortable charging. And I know I go through this with friends of mine or business people who are consultants, and they come to me and they go, oh, what should my hourly rate be? And the first thing I say to them is it's got to be a rate that you can look someone in the eye and say, I charge this amount, and not lose eye contact with them, which means that you're comfortable with that rate. You feel you're worth that. So don't go out and charge, exorbitant amount if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, it is about value. This is a value exchange. And in the health and wellness area, what price do our customers put on their own health and well-being? You know, that's what the exchange is about. So to create the value, it's about actually informing them of the benefits of what you can do, and for them to come to the party of, yes, that's what it's worth. I think, you know, the idea of charging or profiting from people's health is not a bad thing, because in some ways you're actually helping them enjoy life, and that is priceless.
And that's got a value on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think health practitioners need to value them more, because I coach a number and they're not making any money. In fact, they're not paying the bills. And Jo knows many practitioners that would often say to her, I think with the expo, and we've had this discussion, they can't afford the $200 to do a stall.
So let's take that a step further. So if they're not making money, is the outcome that they will then have to close their business and stop doing what they love? Is that where you're going with that? Okay.
If you're not making money in business, you're not happy. And if that's the case, just make it a hobby.
Is this specific to health practitioners, or are you seeing this?
All businesses.
All businesses.
It's carpenters, it's tradespeople. You know, and often we sit down and do the quick math. We say, well, so how much are you making? Then we do the math on it, and we divide that by the hourly rate and the amount of effort they put in. And some of them are on $15 an hour running their own business.
I'd say that these are micro businesses, and what I mean by that, they're small, medium and large. Micro businesses are 1 to 2 people, and that's because they've ended up in a business where they're basically just employing themselves, and so they're becoming an employee trying to run a business. Whereas if you're an employee, someone else is responsible for getting the business, getting the money and paying you the salary. And I think that's one of the areas, because in business you have to get to the point of being able to separate yourself from being just the practitioner into being the manager responsible for managing the business and its sustainability and longevity, and the entrepreneur who's responsible for building it. It comes straight out of the book I mentioned earlier, The E-Myth, is one of the hard areas for a single person to be able to cover those 3 areas. That's why I was really interested, Ben, in your idea of the mindset that you need to bring into this business to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's a mindset well beyond the do. It's a mindset of who do you need to be? Do you need to be courageous? Do you need to be attractive? I mean, when I talk about attractive, it's what's inside of you. You know, are you interesting? Are you curious? Are you energetic? Are you enthusiastic? Are you passionate? Are you connected with your why, your underlying purpose? That mindset is what will drive you to get out of bed in the morning.
Okay, we hope you're enjoying eavesdropping on our interesting conversation. We'll be right back with Ben, Jo and Darren, and on the other side of this break we are going to be talking about health retreats and day spas. You're listening to Taking Care of Business on RPP FM.